Welcome to another episode of our podcast. Today, we're going to help you explain your daily routine in English. We'll cover everything from how to describe your morning activities to what you do before going to bed.
Listening to this podcast will not only improve your vocabulary, but also your speaking skills. By the end of this episode, you'll feel more confident talking about your daily routine in English. Let's get started.
Let's start with how you wake up in the morning. You can say, I wake up at 7 a.m. every day, or I usually wake up early during the week but sleep in on weekends. Adding times or days gives more context to your routine.
That's right. You can also mention whether you use an alarm. For example, I set an alarm to wake me up every morning, or I try not to use an alarm on weekends. It's a common part of many routines.
You can also add some personal details like, I like to take a few minutes to stretch before getting out of bed, or I scroll through my phone for a bit before getting up. This makes your description more personal and detailed.
Exactly. It's always helpful to mention small actions that make your routine unique. For instance, you could say, I get up and open the windows to let in some fresh air, or I drink a glass of water first thing in the morning. These details make your explanation more complete.
Now that you're awake, let's move on to what you do next. A typical phrase might be after waking up, I brush my teeth and wash my face. It's a basic part of most people's routines.
You can also include more steps. For instance, I take a shower and get dressed, or I shave and put on some lotion before getting ready for the day. Describing your morning hygiene routine is important, especially when explaining what you do right after waking up.
If you want to make your routine even clearer, you can add specific times. For example, I spend about 10 minutes brushing my teeth and getting ready, or I like to take a quick shower before I start my day. Mentioning time makes your routine feel more organized.
That's a great idea. You can also say things like, I use my favorite face wash in the morning, or I always make sure to floss after brushing. These little details make your routine sound more natural.
After your morning hygiene, what do you do next? You might want to explain your breakfast routine. You could say, I usually have breakfast around 8 a.m., or I make myself a cup of coffee before eating breakfast. This is a common part of the morning routine.
You can also describe what you eat for breakfast. For example, I usually have eggs and toast, or I make a smoothie with fruit and yogurt. This helps you explain what kinds of foods are part of your morning.
Don't forget to add details like how long it takes or what you like most. You can say, I take about 15 minutes to prepare breakfast, or I enjoy a slow breakfast while reading the news. These small details add more life to your routine.
And if you skip breakfast sometimes, you can mention that too. For example, I don't always have time for breakfast, so sometimes I just grab a coffee, or on busy mornings, I just have a quick snack. This shows that your routine can change depending on the day.
Next, let's talk about getting ready for work or school. You might say, I get dressed for work after breakfast, or I put on my uniform before heading to school. It's a good way to show what happens after your morning meal.
You can also mention what you do to prepare for the day. For example, I pack my bag with everything I need, or I make sure I have my laptop and notes before leaving. These small steps help describe a typical work or school morning.
That's right. You can add more personal details like, I choose my outfit for the day, or I spend a few minutes organizing my things before I leave. It helps make your routine sound more complete.
And if you have a set schedule, you can mention that too. For instance, I always leave the house by 8:30 a.m., or I make sure I'm out the door by 9 a.m. Adding these specifics shows that you follow a routine.
Now let's talk about the commute. You can say, I take the bus to work every day, or I drive to school in the morning. It's helpful to explain how you get to your destination.
That's true. You can also give more details like, it takes me about 30 minutes to get to work, or I walk to school because it's close by. Mentioning time or distance adds more context to your routine.
You can also talk about what you do during the commute. For example, I like to listen to music on my way to work, or I read a book while taking the train. It's a nice way to show how you spend that time.
If your commute changes, you can mention that too. For instance, sometimes I ride my bike when the weather is nice, or I carpool with a friend if I have an early meeting. This shows that your routine can be flexible.
Once you arrive at work or school, you can say, I usually get to work by 9 a.m., or I arrive at school just in time for my first class. This helps to establish your schedule right at the start of your day.
You can also describe how you feel when you arrive. For example, I feel energized when I arrive at work, or I like to take a moment to organize my desk before starting. This adds a personal touch to your routine. It's helpful to mention any rituals you have. For instance, I grab a cup of coffee as soon as I get to my desk, or I chat with my colleagues before getting started. These small moments can be very telling about your daily life. You can also talk about what you do first upon arrival. For example, I check my emails to see what I need to focus on for the day, or I review my class schedule to prepare for my lessons. These details provide insight into your responsibilities.
After settling in, it's time for your morning tasks. You can say, I usually start my day by attending a team meeting, or I have my first class right after arriving at school. This describes how you transition into your work or study mode.
Absolutely. You could mention how you plan your tasks. For example, I make a to-do list to prioritize my work, or I review my lesson plans for the day. This gives a clear idea of your organizational skills.
And if you have a specific project you're working on, you can say, I focus on a project that is due at the end of the week, or I prepare for an upcoming presentation. This highlights your responsibilities and priorities.
Don't forget to add any interaction you have with colleagues or classmates. For instance, I often collaborate with my team to complete our tasks, or I discuss assignments with my classmates after class. This enriches your explanation.
After a busy morning, let's talk about lunch. You can say, I take my lunch break at noon, or I usually eat with my coworkers in the cafeteria. This indicates how you spend your time during lunch.
You could also mention what you eat. For example, I like to pack a healthy lunch, such as a salad or sandwich, or I often buy lunch from a nearby cafe. Sharing this helps paint a clearer picture of your daily routine.
It's nice to add personal preferences, like I enjoy chatting with friends during lunch, or I prefer to take a quiet moment to read a book. These details make your routine relatable and engaging.
If you have any special lunch rituals, mention those too. For instance, I like to take a walk after lunch to refresh my mind, or I sometimes bring dessert to share with my coworkers. This gives your routine a unique flavor.
Now, let's move to the afternoon tasks. You can say, after lunch, I usually check my emails again, or I dive back into my projects after my break. This indicates how you refocus after lunch.
It's helpful to mention specific tasks. For example, I spend time working on reports that are due next week, or I prepare materials for my afternoon classes. This showcases your ongoing responsibilities.
And if you collaborate with others, you can add, I often have meetings in the afternoon, or I work on group projects with my colleagues. This gives insight into how you interact with others during the day.
Also, don't forget to mention how you feel during this time. You could say, I usually feel more energized after lunch, or sometimes I struggle to concentrate, especially after a big meal. Sharing these feelings can make your routine more relatable.
As the day comes to a close, let's discuss how you wrap things up. You might say, I usually finish work around 5 p.m., or I wrap up my classes and prepare for the next day. This gives a clear end to your work or school day.
As the day comes to a close, let's discuss how you wrap things up. You might say, I usually finish work around 5 p.m., or I wrap up my classes and prepare for the next day. This gives a clear end to your work or school day.
If you have any evening rituals, mention those too. You could say, I like to say goodbye to my coworkers before leaving, or I take a moment to reflect on my day before heading home. This adds a personal touch to your routine.
Finally, you can mention how you feel at the end of the day. For example, I often feel satisfied with what I accomplished, or sometimes I feel tired but happy after a productive day. These reflections make your routine feel complete.
Once you're home, let's talk about your evening activities. You might say, I usually relax for a bit after coming home, or I like to cook dinner right away. This sets the stage for your post-work routine.
You can share specific activities as well. For example, I enjoy watching a little TV or reading a book, or I often take a short walk to unwind after the day. These activities show how you transition from work to relaxation.
And if you have family or friends to connect with, you can mention that too. For instance, I spend time with my family during dinner, or I call my friends to catch up after work. This shows your social interactions.
You could also talk about any hobbies or interests you pursue. For example, I like to work on my hobbies in the evenings, or I practice a musical instrument after dinner. Sharing your interests makes your routine more engaging.
As the day winds down, let's discuss your bedtime routine. You might say, I usually start getting ready for bed around 10 p.m., or I like to wind down with some light reading before sleeping. This helps to show your nightly habits.
Describing specific actions can make it clearer. For instance, I brush my teeth and wash my face before bed, or I set my alarm for the next day. This shows how you prepare for a good night's sleep.
It's also helpful to mention how you feel at this time. For example, I feel relaxed when I finally settle into bed, or I often reflect on my day before falling asleep. Sharing your feelings adds depth to your routine.
And if you have any nightly rituals, mention those too. For instance, I like to meditate for a few minutes before sleeping, or I listen to calming music to help me fall asleep. These details provide a nice conclusion to your day.
Before going to bed, some people like to set goals for the next day. You can say, I take a few minutes to write down my priorities for tomorrow, or I make a mental note of what I need to accomplish. This shows your focus on staying organized.
Another way to phrase it could be, I like to plan out my tasks for the morning so I can start the day smoothly. This lets others know how you prepare to be productive even before the next day begins.
You can also share how setting goals makes you feel. For instance, I feel more relaxed knowing I have a plan for the day ahead, or setting goals helps me stay focused and productive. This adds a layer of personal reflection.
Don't forget, small goals matter too. You can say, I set small, achievable goals to build my confidence, or I break down big tasks into smaller steps for the next day. These insights into your planning process can be very useful to others.
Some people like to prepare for the morning before they sleep. You might say, I lay out my clothes for the next day, or I pack my bag so I'm ready to leave quickly in the morning. This shows how you like to stay ahead of things.
Another way to describe this is, I make sure everything is ready for the next day so I don't have to rush in the morning. This can really resonate with people who prefer a calm and organized start to their day.
Also, you can mention how this habit helps you. For example, I find that preparing ahead of time reduces my stress in the morning, or this routine makes my mornings smoother and more productive. Sharing the benefits adds depth to your explanation. You can even talk about small preparations like, I set up the coffee machine so I can start brewing as soon as I wake up. Or I double-check my schedule for the next day to make sure I'm ready. These details make your routine feel more complete. Another great habit to add is reflecting on your day. You can say, I like to think about what went well today, or I take a moment to consider what I can improve tomorrow. This helps give a sense of growth and self-awareness.
Exactly. You might phrase it like, I reflect on my successes and challenges before bed, or I think about how I can make tomorrow better. Reflecting on the day shows that you're always striving for self-improvement.
Some people like to keep a journal for this. For example, I write down my thoughts in a journal to clear my mind, or I jot down a few things I'm grateful for. This not only helps with self-reflection, but can also be calming.
You can also mention how this routine impacts you emotionally. For instance, I feel more at peace after reflecting on my day, or reflecting helps me stay positive and focused. This kind of personal insight is very engaging.
In busy routines, finding time for yourself is important. You might say, I like to take a few minutes just for myself at the end of the day, or I set aside time to do something I enjoy, like reading or listening to music. This shows the importance of self-care.
Absolutely. You can also phrase it like, I prioritize some quiet time before bed to recharge, or I enjoy unwinding with a hobby that helps me relax. Including personal activities makes your daily routine more relatable.
You could add how this time helps you. For example, taking time for myself helps me feel balanced and relaxed, or this routine keeps me from feeling overwhelmed. Sharing your emotions here makes your routine feel more genuine.
You can also include more specific activities. For instance, I enjoy doing some light stretching or yoga before bed, or I like to listen to podcasts or watch short videos to relax. These activities provide ideas for others looking to unwind.
Another common part of many people's routines is tidying up before bed. You can say, I like to tidy up my space before I go to bed, or I put away any clutter so I can wake up to a clean room. It's a simple habit, but it makes a difference.
Exactly. Or you could express it like, I make sure everything is in its place so I can start fresh in the morning, or I clean up to avoid feeling overwhelmed the next day. These habits show how keeping things organized is important.
You can also talk about how this affects your mindset. For example, tidying up before bed helps me feel more at ease, or I find that I sleep better when my surroundings are clean and organized. This adds a bit of personal insight.
Another way to say it is, I like to end the day on a positive note by straightening up, or clearing my space helps clear my mind. These kinds of phrases show how simple actions can have a big impact on how you feel.
For some people, reading is an important part of their evening routine. You could say, I like to unwind with a good book before bed, or I read for a few minutes to relax before sleeping. It's a great way to show how you wind down.
Yes, or you might phrase it like, I enjoy getting lost in a story before I go to sleep, or reading helps me relax and clear my mind after a busy day. These statements capture the relaxing nature of reading.
Don't forget to share how this routine affects you. For instance, reading helps me calm down and fall asleep easier, or I find that reading helps me forget about any stress from the day. This personal reflection makes the habit more relatable.
You could also be more specific about what you read. For example, I enjoy reading fiction because it helps me escape, or I like to read something inspirational before bed to stay positive. These details help to make your routine more vivid.
Another practical habit is preparing breakfast the night before. You can say, I like to get my breakfast ready the night before so I can save time in the morning. Or I prepare my meals ahead of time to make my mornings less stressful. This shows that you're planning ahead.
That's a great one. You could also say, I prepare my coffee and breakfast so I can just grab it and go in the morning. Or I make sure I have everything set up for a quick start to the day. These habits help ensure a smooth morning.
Also, don't forget to share how this helps you. For example, preparing my breakfast ahead of time helps me stay organized and calm, or I find that planning meals ahead reduces my morning stress. Adding how it impacts you makes it feel more personal.
You could add something like, it's a small habit, but it makes a big difference to my routine. Or taking a few minutes to prepare the night before saves me a lot of time in the morning. These insights highlight how small actions can have a big impact.
Staying hydrated is a simple but important part of anyone's routine. You might say, I make sure to drink water throughout the day, or I carry a water bottle with me so I stay hydrated. It's something small but essential.
You can also phrase it like, I make it a point to drink water regularly during my day, or I keep track of how much water I drink to stay healthy. Staying hydrated is a basic part of health that's easy to mention in your routine.
And you can mention how it makes you feel. For example, drinking water helps me stay focused and energized. Or I notice a big difference in my energy levels when I stay hydrated. These personal details make your routine sound more thoughtful.
Or you could add a bit more detail, like I always start my morning with a glass of water, or I make sure to drink water before and after meals. These extra bits of information show that hydration is a key part of your day.
Listening to music can be a nice part of your routine. You could say, I like to listen to music while I work or relax, or I put on my favorite songs to stay motivated. Music is something that many people use to set the tone for their day.
Exactly. You might also phrase it like, I play music that helps me focus, or I choose relaxing music to unwind after a long day. Whether it's to help focus or relax, music can be a great addition to your daily routine.
You could add how it affects you. For example, music helps me stay positive and energized, or I find that listening to music reduces my stress. This makes it clear how music is a valuable part of your day.
Or you could share what type of music you prefer. Like, I enjoy upbeat music to keep my energy up, or I like soft, calming music to relax. Including these details helps make your routine feel more personal.
Exercise is an important part of many people's routines. You can say, I try to fit in a workout every day, or I make time for a quick exercise session, even if it's just a few minutes. This shows that staying active is important to you.
You might also say, I go for a walk or jog to stay healthy, or I follow a simple workout routine at home. Exercise is something that can fit into anyone's routine, whether it's a full workout or just something small.
And you can talk about how it benefits you. For example, exercising helps me feel more energized and focused, or I notice a big improvement in my mood when I get some exercise in. This gives insight into how staying active impacts your day.
You can also add specific details like, I like to do yoga in the morning to stretch and wake up, or I do a short workout in the evening to relax. Adding these specific activities makes your routine more relatable to others.
Spending time with family or friends is a meaningful part of many people's routines. You could say, I make it a point to spend quality time with my family in the evenings, or I try to catch up with friends whenever I can. This shows the importance of relationships in your day.
Exactly. You could also say, I call or message my friends to stay in touch, or I spend time with my loved ones to unwind and relax. Relationships are an essential part of life, and including them in your routine is always a good idea.
You can share how this makes you feel, like spending time with my family helps me feel connected and supported. Or talking to friends lifts my mood and keeps me positive. This adds a personal touch to how social connections fit into your life.
You might also add, I make it a priority to have family dinners when I can, or I schedule time with friends for coffee or a chat. These little details help make your routine more realistic and easy for others to relate to.
Taking regular breaks is another important part of staying productive throughout the day. You could say, I make sure to take short breaks during work, or I step away from my desk for a few minutes to recharge. This shows that balance is important.
Yes, you might also say, I take breaks to stretch and refresh my mind, or I step outside for some fresh air to stay focused. Taking breaks can help keep your energy up and your mind sharp.
You could mention how these breaks help you. Like, taking a break helps me stay focused and productive for longer. Or I find that short breaks reduce my stress and keep me motivated. Sharing the impact of these habits makes them feel more meaningful.
Or you could say something like, I take a quick walk around the block to clear my mind, or I do some light stretches during breaks to stay active. These are small, relatable ways to show how breaks fit into your day.
Reflecting on your day is a common habit before going to bed. You could say, I like to think about what went well today, or I take a few minutes to reflect on how I can improve tomorrow. This adds a thoughtful touch to your routine.
Yes, you could also say, I reflect on the things I'm grateful for, or I think about what I learned during the day. Reflecting on your day helps you end it on a positive and thoughtful note.
And don't forget to mention how this helps you. For example, reflecting helps me feel more at peace and ready for the next day. Or taking a moment to reflect makes me feel more balanced and calm. This shows the emotional benefit of this habit. You might also add, I like to write down a few thoughts about my day in a journal, or I mentally review the day's highlights before bed. These simple details make your routine feel more grounded and personal. Many people like to prepare for the next day as part of their routine. You could say, I get everything ready for the next day before going to bed, or I set out my clothes and pack my bag the night before. This helps keep you organized and ready.
Exactly. You might also say, I review my to-do list for tomorrow so I'm prepared, or I make a quick plan for the day ahead. Planning ahead makes the next day feel less overwhelming and more structured.
You can explain how this benefits you. For example, preparing for tomorrow helps me feel more organized and less stressed in the morning. Or I feel more in control of my day when I plan ahead the night before. These are small habits that make a big difference.
You could also add, I make sure my workspace is tidy so I can start fresh in the morning, or I organize my day by setting reminders for important tasks. Including these details shows how being prepared can positively impact your day.
Taking time for yourself is important. You might say, I like to set aside some time just for myself every day, or I make sure to have some quiet time to relax and recharge. This shows that self-care is part of your daily routine.
Exactly. You could also phrase it like, I take a few minutes to do something I enjoy, like reading or listening to music, or I spend time on a hobby to relax. Doing something for yourself is a good way to stay balanced.
And you can share how it makes you feel, like having some me time helps me stay focused and less stressed. Or I feel more refreshed when I take a little break for myself. Adding this emotional touch makes it clear why it's important to you.
You could also mention something specific, like, I like to unwind by reading a few pages of a book before bed, or I take time to meditate or do some light stretching. These small acts of self-care help create a well-rounded routine.
Setting boundaries can be an essential part of a healthy routine. You might say, I make sure to set clear boundaries between work and personal time, or I try to avoid overworking by sticking to a schedule. This shows that protecting your time is important.
Right. You could also say, I set limits on my workday so I have time to rest, or I avoid checking emails after a certain time to relax. Setting boundaries helps you maintain a better balance between work and life.
And you can talk about the benefits, like setting boundaries helps me stay focused on the important things. Or I feel more balanced and less stressed when I create clear boundaries between work and relaxation. This shows the positive impact boundaries can have.
You could also add something specific, like, I make time for my hobbies by sticking to a strict work schedule. Or I make sure to spend time with family and friends by keeping evenings free. These details help show how boundaries fit into your routine.
Having a consistent sleep schedule is something many people prioritize. You could say, I try to go to bed at the same time every night, or I make sure to get enough sleep by sticking to a routine. A good sleep schedule can improve your day.
Exactly. You might also phrase it like, I aim for a certain number of hours of sleep to feel rested, or I wind down with a consistent bedtime routine to help me fall asleep. Consistency with sleep can make a big difference.
You can mention how it helps you feel. For example, going to bed at the same time every night helps me feel more rested and energized. Or having a sleep routine helps me relax and fall asleep more easily. Sharing the benefits makes your routine feel more complete.
You might also add something specific, like, I avoid screens before bed to help me sleep better, or I do something relaxing, like reading, before bed to wind down. These small actions make your sleep routine more relatable and realistic.
Staying active is another important part of many daily routines. You might say, I make time for exercise every day, or I go for a walk or jog in the morning to stay active. Including exercise in your routine shows you prioritize health.
Right, and you could say something like, I take breaks during the day to stretch or move around. Or I incorporate light exercises like yoga or stretches into my daily routine. It's about staying active, even if you don't have a full workout planned.
And you can explain the benefits by saying, exercise helps me stay energized throughout the day, or staying active keeps me feeling focused and refreshed. Sharing how exercise helps you shows its importance in your routine.
You could also mention specific activities, like I enjoy biking in the evening, or I take time for a quick workout after work. Adding details like these makes your exercise routine more personal and relatable.
Staying hydrated is a simple but essential part of any routine. You could say, I make sure to drink plenty of water throughout the day, or I keep a water bottle with me to stay hydrated. It's an easy way to take care of yourself.
Exactly. You might also say, I start my day by drinking a glass of water, or I remind myself to drink water regularly, especially when I'm busy. Keeping hydration as part of your routine is a great way to show self-care.
You can also mention how it makes you feel. For example, staying hydrated helps me feel more alert and energized, or I notice that I stay focused better when I drink enough water. These personal benefits make your routine feel more complete.
You could add something specific like, I use an app to remind me to drink water during the day. Or, I like to drink herbal tea in the afternoon to stay hydrated and relaxed. These small details make hydration an important and natural part of your day.
Managing screen time is becoming more important in daily routines. You might say, I limit my screen time by taking regular breaks, or I make sure to step away from my devices for a few minutes every hour. It's a good way to stay balanced in a tech-heavy world. Exactly. You could also say something like, I set a time limit for social media use, or I turn off my phone for an hour in the evening to focus on other things. Managing screen time helps you stay more present and avoid digital burnout. And you can explain how this benefits you. For example, taking breaks from screens helps me feel more relaxed and less overwhelmed, or limiting screen time helps me focus better on my tasks and spend quality time with family. This adds more meaning to your routine.
You could also mention specific habits, like I use apps to track my screen time and set limits, or I replace screen time with activities like reading or going for a walk. These small adjustments make screen management feel more realistic.
Cleaning and tidying up is often part of daily routines. You might say, I like to spend a few minutes tidying up before I start my day, or I make sure to clean up my workspace to stay organized. Keeping things clean can improve your mindset.
Exactly. You could also say something like, I set aside time to do a quick tidy up in the evening, or I feel better when my space is clean and organized. Having a tidy space helps create a sense of calm and focus.
You could also explain how it makes you feel, like cleaning helps me feel more productive and in control of my day. Or a clean environment helps me stay focused and relaxed. Sharing these benefits helps people understand why it's part of your routine.
And you can add something specific like, I do a 10-minute cleanup before bed, or I tidy up my workspace to start fresh for the next day. These small, practical habits make tidying up feel easy and manageable.
Preparing meals is a key part of many daily routines. You could say, I like to prepare my meals in advance to save time during the week, or I make breakfast every morning to start the day with energy. Cooking can be both practical and enjoyable.
Exactly. You might also say, I try to cook healthy meals every day, or I prepare simple meals to make sure I eat well, even when I'm busy. Preparing meals shows you take care of your health and well-being.
You could also explain how it fits into your day, like meal prep helps me stay organized and reduces stress during the week. Or cooking is a relaxing part of my routine where I can unwind and enjoy some quiet time. This makes meal preparation feel more rewarding. And you can mention specific meals or habits, like I prepare smoothies in the morning for a quick and healthy breakfast, or I make dinner at home instead of eating out to save money and eat healthier. These details make the routine more relatable and practical. Socializing with friends or family is often a part of daily routines. You might say, I make time to call or message my friends every day, or I have dinner with my family to stay connected. Spending time with loved ones is important for well-being.
Absolutely. You could also say, I like to catch up with my friends during lunch breaks, or I take time in the evening to chat with my family. Including social time in your routine shows you value relationships and connection.
You could also explain how it affects your mood. For example, talking to my friends helps me feel supported and happy, or spending time with family is a great way to relax after a busy day. Sharing these positive effects makes socializing a meaningful part of your day. And you can add specifics like, I schedule a video call with my friends once a week, or I make time to visit my parents on the weekend. These little examples show how socializing fits into everyday life without feeling overwhelming. Planning for the next day is a common routine for many people. You could say, I like to spend a few minutes each night planning my tasks for the next day, or I write down a to-do list to stay organized. Planning helps you feel more in control.
Exactly. You could also say, I review my schedule for the next day before I go to bed, or I prioritize my tasks so I know what to focus on when the day starts. Planning your day ahead can reduce stress and make you feel more prepared.
You can also explain how it impacts you, like planning helps me stay focused and productive throughout the day, or having a plan makes me feel less anxious and more ready to tackle my tasks. Sharing these benefits makes planning sound more appealing.
You could add something specific like, I use an app to organize my daily tasks, or I write my plan in a journal every night before bed. These small tips show how planning can become a simple yet effective part of your routine.
Many people include hobbies in their daily routines to unwind. You could say, I spend some time on my hobby every day to relax, or I like to read or paint in the evening to wind down. Hobbies are a great way to distress after a long day.
Exactly. You might also say, I practice playing the guitar for a few minutes each day, or I like to work on puzzles to keep my mind active. Including hobbies in your routine shows you're making time for things you enjoy.
And you could explain how it helps you. For example, my hobby gives me a creative outlet and helps me relax, or spending time on my hobby makes me feel refreshed and energized for the next day. Hobbies can provide both relaxation and motivation. You could also mention specific hobbies, like, I enjoy cooking as a hobby in the evenings, or I like to garden in the morning before starting work. These details make hobbies feel like an enjoyable and natural part of your daily routine. Exercising is a key part of many daily routines. You might say, I go for a jog every morning to stay active, or I do yoga in the evenings to unwind and stretch my muscles. Exercise is important for maintaining both physical and mental health.
Absolutely. You could also say, I try to fit in a quick workout at home, or I take a walk during my lunch break to get some fresh air and move around. These small activities help you stay active even on busy days.
And you can share how it makes you feel, like, exercise helps me feel more energized and focused throughout the day, or working out helps me clear my mind and reduce stress. Describing the benefits makes exercise feel more rewarding.
You could add a specific detail, like, I follow a 30-minute workout routine at home, or I make time for a short run in the morning. This shows how exercise can fit into a busy schedule without taking too much time.
Meditation or mindfulness is another routine many people include. You might say, I start my day with a short meditation to clear my mind, or I practice mindfulness before bed to help me sleep better. These practices can really improve mental clarity and relaxation.
Exactly. You could also say, I take a few minutes to focus on my breathing when I feel stressed, or I use a mindfulness app to practice meditation daily. These are great habits to calm your mind and stay present throughout the day.
And you can explain how it impacts you, like, meditation helps me stay focused and less anxious, or mindfulness helps me manage stress and be more in the moment. Sharing the benefits of these practices encourages others to try them out.
You could also mention specific routines, like, I meditate for 10 minutes every morning before I start work, or I use guided meditation at night to help me unwind. These examples show how meditation or mindfulness can easily fit into your routine.
Getting ready for bed is a key part of the day for many. You could say, I have a nighttime routine that helps me wind down before sleep, or I take time to relax and prepare for a good night's rest. A calming evening routine can make a big difference in sleep quality.
Exactly. You might also say, I try to avoid screens and drink some tea before bed to relax, or I have a skincare routine that helps me unwind at night. These small habits can help signal to your body that it's time to rest.
And you can share how it benefits you, like having a nighttime routine helps me fall asleep faster and sleep better. Or preparing for bed allows me to clear my mind and relax before sleeping. Describing the positive effects makes this routine more appealing.
You could also mention specifics, such as, I read a book for 20 minutes before bed, or I dim the lights and do some light stretching to relax. These little details make the routine feel achievable and easy to incorporate.
Reflecting on your day can be an important part of a daily routine. You might say, I like to take a moment at the end of each day to reflect on what went well. Or I write in a journal about my thoughts and feelings. Reflection helps you stay mindful of your experiences.
Absolutely. You could also say, I take time to think about what I learned from the day, or I focus on the positive things that happened before going to bed. This routine encourages gratitude and personal growth.
You can also explain how it helps you, like reflecting on my day helps me stay grounded and appreciate the little things. Or taking time to reflect gives me a chance to think about how I can improve tomorrow. Reflection provides both insight and peace.
And you can make it personal, such as, I write down 3 things I'm grateful for each night. Or I spend a few minutes thinking about what I accomplished during the day. These small habits can create a positive mindset for the next day.
Connecting with family and friends is an essential part of many daily routines. You might say, I make it a point to call my family every evening, or I send messages to my friends to check in. These connections help maintain strong relationships.
Exactly. You could say, I have dinner with my family each night, which is a great way to catch up. Or I set aside time each week to hang out with friends. Regular contact keeps friendships strong and supports emotional well-being.
And you can explain the benefits, such as spending time with loved ones helps me feel supported and happy. Or having regular chats with friends lifts my spirits and provides great conversation. Describing these positive outcomes encourages others to prioritize their connections.
You could also add specific habits, like I schedule a weekly game night with my friends. Or I video chat with my relatives who live far away. These details highlight how easy it can be to make time for important relationships in your daily life.
Staying informed about the world is a valuable routine. You might say, I read the news each morning to stay updated, or I follow certain podcasts or blogs that interest me. Being informed can help you engage in conversations and make educated decisions.
Absolutely. You could also mention, I listen to news summaries during my commute, or I follow social media accounts that share interesting articles. This way, you can easily incorporate information into your daily life.
And you can explain why this is important. Like, staying informed helps me understand different perspectives and current events. Or it makes me feel more connected to the world around me. Sharing these insights emphasizes the value of being knowledgeable.
You might also add specifics, such as, I read the headlines over breakfast and dive deeper into stories later. Or I dedicate 15 minutes in the evening to catch up on what's happening in the world. This demonstrates how to make staying informed part of your routine.
Setting goals for tomorrow is a helpful way to stay focused. You could say, I like to write down my top 3 priorities for the next day, or I think about what I want to accomplish before going to bed. This practice helps you wake up with intention.
Exactly. You might say, I create a plan for the next day based on what I achieved today, or I review my weekly goals to stay on track. Setting goals can give you direction and motivation.
And you can explain the benefits, like having clear goals helps me manage my time better, or it keeps me motivated to achieve my long-term objectives. These points show the effectiveness of this practice.
You could also mention details, such as, I keep a goal planner on my desk to remind me of my aspirations, or I discuss my goals with a friend to stay accountable. This demonstrates how goal setting can fit into daily life.
Thanks for joining us in this episode. We hope you found our discussion about daily routines helpful for improving your English skills. Remember, practicing these phrases and sharing your daily experiences will enhance your communication abilities.
Absolutely. Incorporating these routines into your conversation will not only help you express yourself better, but also make your interactions more engaging. Keep practicing, and we'll see you next time.
Until then, keep learning and using English every day. Bye for now.
Take care, everyone. We look forward to our next conversation.